Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is a 1920s horror film directed by Robert Wine. The film tells the story of a hypnotist who uses somnambulist Caesar to commit murders. This was one of the first films I've ever watched once I entered college, and it was one of those times where I really was starting to get into a bunch of older films from the 1920s or 30s and discovering what movies inspired certain directors or how a certain movie influenced the way we make movies today, or the technical achievements. In this film's case, a lot of horror stamps that we know of today, like a murder, a bit of fantasy, dark, edgy, a kind of fantastical sets that are distorted that we associate with Tim Burton, or a killer that goes around with a knife killing random people or in control of someone. We've seen these kinds of tropes before in horror films to this day and age. This is the film that basically paved the way for what we have in modern horror. So this is an important landmark in film that even if you don't like this film at the end of the day, you have to give it some respect for what it was able to push forward in the film industry. And this film is remembered for all of its achievements in that regard. The production design, as I said, is very distorted. Sets are very much tilting towards one way or another, or the houses are not like straight up, like fixed perfectly. Everything always has this fantastical nature to it, and that is due to the film being very much in line with German Expressionism, which is a style that often highlights certain tropes or emotions or feelings that the entire look of the film is trying to invoke to you, while not trying to be realistic. It's trying to convey something different and not be grounded in reality. In a way, this whole film has this sort of dreamlike feel to it, as we are basically being told this story from someone else from the beginning of the film, is recounting these as like his memories of the past that he knows of so far. So discovering how all these murders happened, how this person got involved, and trying to figure out who is responsible for all the murders happening is very interesting to watch. And while it is a silent film and you cannot really digest much of the vocal performance at all, because you're just hearing like music and just watching the visuals, I think overall the physical performances from all these actors and how they're still able to invoke so much fear and emotion into your soul was astounding. Like, the man who plays Caesar still creeps me out. There's a reason why I started using his first appearance in my intros, because that first appearance set the tone for the rest of the film going forward. It's gonna be dangerous, very mysterious, and just downright uncomfortable whenever this character's around. Whether he's stalking the streets for his next victim, or whether he is just looking blankly towards a sleeping woman, you always feel this unnerving energy with him, but also a little bit of empathy, because he is, at the end of the day, being controlled by someone else. And this other guy, Dr. Caligari, who is responsible for all this, is a very threatening presence in his design. Very reminiscent of an actor like Danny DeVito, which I assume is a reason why Tim Burton also uses his character in Batman Returns, as he is also playing a manipulative character trying to take control for his own gain. So there's a bit of inspiration there, as you say. Even like two superhero movies, this film inspired a few characters that we see in like superhero properties like the Penguin and Batman Returns. Even had like the same costume. But the horror of the entire film and the images that it invokes in your mind are striking. There is this one shot where Caesar is dragging this woman with him on top of some buildings. That is an iconic shot, as this is a person that clearly doesn't fit in this world that already feels very distorted from reality. So adding that character in this situation adds a deeper level of uncanniness to what you are watching. And the reveal by the end of the film, which I won't spoil, and how it connects to the beginning and what our main character is going through in his mind, I thought was brilliant and very striking as a twist ending that leaves a few more questions for you to ponder on, and answering some that you now understand at this point as a story. But because you don't have everything answered, it also leaves a bit of fear and dread within you still, as you don't know what is going to happen next for our characters at this point on, and we will never know ever. Unless Hollywood decides to make a remake out of this and answer some questions we don't need answers to. Cannot wait for that eventually. All in all, this is all to say that The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is an incredible film. Yes, it is dated in some areas. Obviously, the video quality ain't that great if you don't have a good remaster of the film. Yes, it is a silent film. You're not going to be able to digest the audio of the dialogue, and you definitely do get words of what the characters are saying or what's happening throughout. But none of that takes away from this film. In fact, you gotta understand, this is a different point in time where technology is not as advanced as it is right now. So I am not knocking off any points from this film just because of some things that we obviously improved upon at this point in history. In fact, I love watching films like this and understanding and seeing how people were able to still make great stories despite limitations that they have to confine to like this. As the visuals themselves and the story is still really engaging and invokes a lot of fear, and overall was beautifully directed. The set and production design was incredible and very inspirational even to this day. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is a horror film that I recommend any horror enthusiast to go watch, especially around Halloween time. It's the perfect time to come back to this over 100-year-old, in fact at this point 105-year-old film, and discover how horror started out in the film industry and just witness its humble beginnings. I'm going to give The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari an A+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.